Good afternoon. The World Cup is just 1 week away from arriving in Toronto.
City officials provided an update this morning on preparations for the tournament. CTV Sean Leathong joins us live from Nathan Phillips Square with more. Sean, we're just a week away.
And it may even be less. You can see some people got an early start behind us here at Nathan Phillips Square. And it'll come quicker than we think because it's going to be so busy going up to the World Cup. Now, yesterday, we got a preview of Toronto Stadium. Today, the Mayor's Office, the City of Toronto, Metrolinx, TTC, and Toronto Police were giving an update as to how prepared they are. And the first thing they wanted to talk about is Toronto Stadium. Now, for any fans who are going down, they want to give extra time to get there because we know that logistics are going to be difficult around the stadium. Plan ahead and check entry requirements. We learned yesterday that the policy on water bottles inside the stadium has changed, so you can no longer bring a water bottle, but you have to purchase it inside. And they also focused on FanFest over at Fort York, and much of the same is required. Anybody who does have tickets, they're asking to plan ahead. The reason being are those logistics. When it comes to getting around the city, they're focusing on public transit, saying that anybody coming down, use public transit, cycle or walk, because there is no parking either at Toronto Stadium or outside the FanFest. Now, for anybody who is going to be cycling or walking, there will be enhanced routes to help you get that last mile. Here's some of what some of the officials had to say today.
Our plan addresses the downtown, what we call the last mile to the stadium, the final walking path to Toronto Stadium, where you'll find enhanced amenities such as additional washrooms, free bike valet, bike share availability, designated ride share zones, volunteers to assist visitors and answer questions, and a welcoming stadium entrance at Princess Gate.
We are boosting service across all modes. That includes more frequent streetcar service on key routes such as the 509 Harbourfront, 511 Bathurst, the 29 or 929 Dufferin, and 504 King. We are expanding subway services on lines 1 and 2, including extended late-night service on select nights and deploying a dedicated shuttle services on match days.
Now, outside of that, Toronto Police will have a large deployment throughout the FIFA World Cup. They said today that it will be the largest extended deployment of police officers, so there will be officers in and around the areas that are most focused on the World Cup. Now, I talked earlier about how it's coming sooner than we expected. There is actually a countdown concert, which is on June 10th, that being next Wednesday, happening at the FIFA Fan Fest. It's actually part of a 3-city concert that includes Toronto, Los Angeles, and Mexico City. So it's a week away, it's 5 days away. Either way, it's coming fast. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
All right, very true. Thank you, Sean. And Team Canada is set to play its final friendly ahead of the World Cup tonight, facing off against Ireland in Montreal.
In for Oluwaseyi. It's Tani Oluwaseyi for Nelson!
Canada beat Uzbekistan 2-0 in Edmonton Monday. The team is undefeated in its past 7 matches. Injured captain Alphonso Davies is expected to remain on the sidelines tonight, and his availability for the tournament remains questionable. Yesterday, head coach Jesse Marsh announced that Maxime Crepeau will be Canada's starting goalkeeper. Kickoff for tonight's game is set for 7:30 on TSN.
Still to come on CTV News at Noon, Statistics Canada has released its latest job numbers, and the Canadian economy beat expectations last month. We'll have those details a little later in the newscast.
3 people have been taken to hospital following a house fire in Markham.
Multiple residents were evacuated as a result of this blaze. Our Beth Macdonell has been following the firefighting effort. She joins us live now from the scene with the latest. Beth.
Michelle, this is a devastating fire affecting at least 2 families at 2 homes in Markham. The homes are just behind me, and you can see fire crews are still here on the scene. The flames broke out at the homes around 7 this morning near Carlton and Kennedy on Chamberry Crescent. By the time crews arrived, they say the fire was already at an advanced stage at the detached homes. You can see how the flames and smoke were really shooting up from the roof. The fire in one house sent 3 people to hospital. We know 1 had minor injuries and 2 other had serious injuries. 2 of them were rescued from the 3rd floor of that home. I managed to speak with the family from the other house. They all escaped. They are naturally feeling overwhelmed, but told me they are thankful everyone is safe, and that's the important thing. Still, there is extensive damage at both homes, and neighbors have been coming by. They are very sad to see this and also very shocked at the extreme fire they saw.
The workload was high for this. As I mentioned, it was 2 large residential detached homes. Almost all of our crews here in Markham were involved, and I want to commend the efforts of our on-scene firefighters today. I also want to say a thank you to our York Region first responder partners, York Regional Paramedic Services, York Regional Police, and also update that we were supported on scene by the City of Markham building staff.
I rushed down here about 7. And I could see all the firefighters were just running in, and they had the water on it. You could see the flames coming up the side, and there was just like chaos, like people everywhere. Really sad. It's a beautiful house. It's devastating. I didn't realize because I was on the south side, but I didn't see the second house, but I heard about it. When I got in, I heard the news, and it's quite devastating.
The City of Markham says the fires at the homes are now under control, and now they turn to the investigation. The cause is still being determined. Reporting live, I'm Beth Macdonell. Michelle and Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Peel police are searching for multiple suspects following a deadly shooting in Brampton last night. It happened around 7 inside a home near Sandalwood Parkway and Crown Victoria Drive. Police say the victim, who did not live at the home, died at the scene. They provided an update last night.
What I can tell you is that we are looking for 2 suspects who fled the scene in a dark sedan. Descriptions are very minimal at this point, as being 2 men of medium build wearing dark clothing. This is all the makings of a targeted style shooting. Whether or not this individual was the intended target, we don't know. The shooting occurred inside the residence, and the suspects fled in a vehicle.
And police say there were several people inside the home at the time of the shooting, and they're asking anyone with information to come forward.
One man has been charged in connection with an armed robbery in Markham last month, and York Regional Police are asking for the public's help to identify a second suspect. Police have released this image of the suspect they're searching for. Police allege he and another man stole cash and cell phones from people at a commercial building in the area of Warden and Masseyfield Gate on May 14th while armed with guns. The other suspect, a 19-year-old man from Toronto, was arrested yesterday. Police are asking anyone with information to come forward.
And police are searching for a driver following a hit and run in Parkdale. It happened in a parking lot near Queen Street West and McDonald Avenue last night. A man was struck and taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police say they received reports that the driver involved initially stopped at the scene but left before police arrived. They have not provided a description of the driver or the vehicle. Meanwhile, 2 people were sent to hospital following a single vehicle crash in North York last night. This happened around 11 near Bathurst and Shepherd. Police say an elderly man and an elderly woman suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The cause of the crash is being investigated.
Police say the investigation into the disappearance of a 14-year-old girl who was missing for nearly 2 weeks before being found safe has concluded. No charges have been laid as a result of this investigation. The teen was first reported missing from the Earl Bales Park area May 15th. She was later found in an Etobicoke home May 28th. After she was located, police indicated they would look into whether there was any criminality linked to her disappearance. And again, no charges have been laid, and they have since ended their investigation. Durham Regional Police have announced the results of Project Jetsetter, an investigation into criminal tourism.
Police say they've made a number of arrests with suspects linked to organized crime. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live with more details on this. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, Durham Regional Police say they have arrested close to 4 dozen people in an investigation they have dubbed Project Jetsetter. They say 46 people in total are facing close to 1,500 charges for so-called criminal tourism, and another 164 arrest warrants have been issued for people they're still searching for. Essentially, investigators say they've uncovered a network of people connected to organized crime groups who enter Canada legally to commit crime for financial gain. The suspects are accused of large-scale retail thefts, vehicle and financing fraud, staged collisions, distraction-style thefts, and the exportation of vehicles of goods. Police say the majority of the suspects come from Romania, with a smaller portion coming from India, and they travel frequently from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. And police warn the criminal activity extends far beyond Durham region, with the same networks operating throughout the rest of the GTA and across Canada.
When we talk about the obtaining the bank cards and that can be at your local grocery store where they're not aware of their surroundings and maybe they can't see the pin pad closely, so they're holding it further away, and that person's getting that. Then further it happens in the parking lot where one person distracts them. Then they obtain their bank card out of the second door, and then before that victim knows they've lost their bank cards, the criminals have gone to many different institutions and used a lot of their money already.
While there's one element of this that is obviously targeting seniors, the reality is that this targets a whole range of victims, including financial institutions as well, dealerships. There's insurance fraud here that impacts all of us. It's reflected in our rising insurance rates. This is not a victimless crime. This isn't losses that companies can absorb. Oftentimes, retail theft is targeting the very people that are the backbone of any community, right? The small businesses that exist.
As you've heard, police have confirmed that seniors have been the hardest hit so far. They say they have identified at close to $2.6 million in losses. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. Toronto police are set to provide an update later this afternoon on security plans for Sunday's Walk with Israel event. The walk is set to take place Sunday from 9:30 a.m. until 3 p.m. at Bathurst and Wilson. Road closures will be in effect from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Wilson and north on Bathurst to Ellerslie Avenue. There will be an increased police presence in the area. They're set to provide an update on the security plan at 1 this afternoon.
A portion of the city's Little Portugal neighborhood is closed to vehicles for Due West Fest. Dundas shut down from Lansdowne to Ossington. This closure began at 10 a.m. It will last until 2 a.m. Monday. The TTC says the 505 streetcar will detour around Ossington and College. Due West Fest highlights the city's Portuguese community as well as small businesses and local artists. It will kick off at 6 p.m. today and runs through to Sunday.
The TTC says a portion of Line 1 will be closed Sunday to allow for critical infrastructure work ahead of the World Cup. There will be no service between St. George and Shepherd West stations, with shuttle buses running instead. The TTC says the closure will allow crews to install new rail and track hardware. Looking ahead to Monday, there will be limited service between Lawrence West and Wilson stations to allow for the removal of multiple reduced speed zones. Trains will operate on a single track in both directions, which will lead to delays of up to 25 minutes.
Certainly a lot going on as we head into the first weekend of June, and the heat is on. We have more sunshine on tap today. A live look at the water. Nice place to be, especially because it's a little cooler down by the water always. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions, and there is plenty more sun this weekend, plenty more heat, but maybe a little chance of some wet weather, too.
Yeah, a little something else in the mix, too, Michelle. We are forecasting some showers. There's the risk of thunderstorms as well, and that happens as early as tonight. But today, it's another scorcher. It's 27 degrees right now. Feels like 30 out there already. And yes, you will find some relief by the lake, depending on where you are joining us from. But expect temperatures and humidex values to go up this afternoon also. Winds out of the south right now. Don't forget the sunblock today. We are at a 9 on the UV index, even with a bit of an increase in cloud cover. That's what we're expecting to happen later this afternoon. You need that sun protection. 31 is the forecast daytime high today, feeling more like 34. And on the satellite and radar, still dry across southern Ontario, but you can see the next disturbance that is on its way. Coming up, we'll give you an idea of just how much rain is in the forecast, and we'll time it all out for you when it comes to your weekend weather. That's ahead. For now, Michelle, back to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, with summer on the horizon, many Canadians are planning to hit the road and travel across the country.
But with rising fuel prices, some are rethinking their route, vehicle, and budget. CTV's Maria Saru has the details.
When Landon Duffy and Amber Campbell started planning their cross-country road trip last fall, the budget looked lower.
Welcome to our camper.
The couple expected to spend about $4,500 on fuel. Now it could be closer to $7,000.
It definitely does put some pressure on costs. I mean, there's a lot more evenings I'm working to pull it off.
After saving up, they bought this used camper for the trip. A happy medium with enough space, but better mileage.
Initially, you would want the biggest and the best, but the extra 3 liters per 100 kilometer you go by sizing down in a camper makes a great deal of difference when you're doing 10 or 15,000 kilometers on the road.
For people just getting into RVs, the price at the pump can make the decision harder.
That's definitely a potential concern for people that are newer to the industry.
The latest national industry data shows new RV sales were down more than 16% through March compared with the same period last year. Larger models saw the steepest drop, with motorhomes down nearly 49%.
People that are within the RV lifestyle, they will probably alter a little bit how they're using their RV. So they may stay closer to home. They will perhaps go for shorter trips.
Back in their camper, Duffy and Campbell are excited and a little nervous to get going. Despite the bigger budget, they say seeing more of Canada is still worth it.
I've done traveling in Europe and such, but I'm excited to just see more of where I'm from.
The couple plans to hit the road in September and roll back onto the island 6 weeks later with their bucket list adventure in the rear view. Maria Sru, CTV News Victoria, Prince Edward Island.
Statistics Canada has released its latest job numbers, and they beat expectations. Canada's economy adding just under 88,000 jobs last month, putting the national unemployment rate at 6.6%. It's the first month of job gains in 2026 and wiped out nearly 80% of all job losses so far this year. The unemployment rate for youth aged 15 to 24 also dropped by 0.9%. CTV's Jeremy Charon joins us live now from Ottawa with a close look at the numbers. Jeremy, some positivity here. You know, there hasn't been much this year. Tell us more about this data.
Yeah, Michelle, a good news story on a Friday. Jobs numbers outperforming expectations, as you've touched on, by a significant margin. 88,000 jobs added, as you've touched on, over the last 4 months, or the first 4 months to start the year. We saw some job losses, totaling 122,000 in the first 4 months. So these 88,000 jobs, as you touched on, make up for about 80% of those losses. And the youth job numbers are good. When you look specifically at youth job numbers, or at least showing positive signs. Unemployment decreasing 0.9% among youth. And then when you dig even deeper and look specifically at summer jobs for students, a sector that struggled last year. 2025 was the worst year, the worst start to summer job season for students since 2009. So what we've seen in that specific cohort, we're talking about students returning to jobs for the summer. Unemployment down 2.1% in that category. So overall, good signals, especially when you consider the GDP numbers that we saw last week. A lot of experts, economists were pointing to these upcoming job numbers as a reason for pause when it came to whether or not we were going into a full-blown recession. Of course, the GDP numbers last week showed us we are in a technical recession, but a strong jobs report now shows that the economy is resilient in some ways, showing signs of resiliency, and many experts were waiting to see these numbers before digging too deep into the GDP numbers. So certainly a positive signal on this Friday.
We like positivity on a Friday. So what's making the difference here? Where are these jobs? And could this mean more positivity down the road?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question. We'll keep looking month after month to see if this trend continues or if this is more of, a blip, an anomaly in terms of the long-term data. When it comes to what is driving this, we're talking about full-time jobs, which is a good signal again. The economy added 154,000 full-time jobs in May and lost 66,000 part-time jobs. So always a good signal when we see those full-time jobs start to go up. And when you look at actual sectors that are performing the best, that drive these numbers, these job gains, rounding out the top 5, manufacturing, and then accommodation and food services, transportation and warehousing, information, culture and recreation, and construction. So that is an idea of what is driving this positive boost. But as you've touched on, Michelle, the big question, will the economy be able to hold on, and will we continue to see some growth in the labor force?
Well, we will have to wait and see. CTV's Jeremy Charon live for us in Ottawa. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Anytime, you as well.
Air Canada isn't the only airline looking to ease concerns about fuel shortages as we head into the busy summer travel season. As we mentioned yesterday, Air Canada has sent an email to customers saying there's no fuel shortage affecting its operations, including across Europe. Analysts have been warning the continent is at risk of running out as the closure of the Strait of Hormuz halts jet fuel shipments. The airline adds it doesn't anticipate any significant impact throughout the summer. Germany's Lufthansa also released a statement saying most European airlines are confident there will be no jet fuel shortage.
What they've done in North America is really reflect cuts in services as a result of the price of fuel. The issue that we're facing now with the airlines making these most recent declarations is on the supply side of fuel in Europe, where we said that, yeah, the price has gone up, but the issue right now is, do we have enough of a supply side? And I think that that's where these declarations by the airlines are really, a marketing effort by the airlines to reassure passengers that, there is no issue with supply. And I think, the question's still out there as to whether that supply is really there or not.
Air Canada says it sent the message to reassure those with trips already booked and those considering traveling. The war between the U.S., Israel, and Iran remains under that shaky ceasefire, and Washington and Tehran struggle to reach a longer-term deal.
Disagreements over Iran's nuclear ambitions have been a key sticking point. The UN's nuclear watchdog says there may be some progress on that front.
Our sense is that they seem to be pretty close to agreeing on what I would describe more with regards to the nuclear. Because the other things are not within my purview, to a sort of a framework, organizational, I would say, structure to give themselves time to look into the different problems.
The Trump administration has said one key goal in the Iran war is ensuring the country doesn't get a nuclear weapon, something Tehran says it's not trying to do. Iran has also tied any deal to a halt in fighting in Lebanon. Although Israel and Lebanon's government have signed ceasefires, Iranian-backed Hezbollah militants have continued to fire on northern Israel, and Israel has kept up deadly strikes. Speaking on CNN, Lebanon's president urged Tehran to let his country guide what happens next.
Our people being killed, our houses being destroyed. They are using Lebanon as a bargaining chip in their negotiation with the United States. It's unacceptable. And here also, Hezbollah must understand that. Hezbollah must understand that no other way but to sit and talk, no other way to solve this problem and to save what's left except through negotiation and diplomacy.
Israeli attacks have killed thousands of people in Lebanon since March and displaced some 1.2 million people, Lebanese authorities say. Israeli troops have also occupied much of southern Lebanon.
The U.S. Senate sat all night and held a vote just before 5 a.m., passing legislation to fund immigration enforcement agencies through to the end of President Trump's term.
On this vote, the yeas are 52, the nays are 47. This bill, as amended, is passed.
The bill now heads to the U.S. House. That funding had been held up for months because of a blockade by Democrats. They've been calling for policy changes to the way immigration and border agents conduct themselves after the fatal shootings of 2 protesters in Minneapolis earlier this year. The vote was then delayed over a plan by the Trump administration to procure nearly $1.8 billion for political allies alleging political persecution. That plan has since been withdrawn.
Throughout its 27-year history, astronauts have never had to evacuate the International Space Station, but for a few hours today, it looked like that was about to change. The U.S. Space Agency told 5 astronauts to take shelter on their Dragon spacecraft and prepare for evacuation. That happened while Russia worked to fix air leaks located in its portion of the orbital laboratory. Russian officials said they detected 2 leaks, but there was no immediate threat to the crew. 2 hours later, NASA told astronauts they could return to the station.
Rain and cooler temperatures are helping wildfire crews get the upper hand on a fire in BC's Caribou region. The Swede Creek fire southwest of Prince George is still burning out of control. It didn't see any growth Thursday and is still estimated to be over 18 square kilometers. The BC Wildfire Service says the fire is burning in a deep layer of dead and downed trees, which is posing a challenge to firefighters.
What that means is that it's smoldering closer to the ground. The rain doesn't necessarily reach all the way to the ground where the fire is actually smoldering.
Nearly 24 properties in the area remain under an evacuation alert.
The Museum of Contemporary Art has launched 2 new contrasting exhibitions. One is focused on slowing things down, while the other wants to speed up. Our Jessica Smith joins us live now from the museum to explain. Jess.
Michelle, the images here will blow your mind. And this one feels very kind of fast and chaotic in a beautiful way, all done by a Canadian artist. And then the one upstairs, very zen, very calm. Rui joins me now. Talk to me about the contrast of the two, because what we're standing in now has so much going on, but it's also kind of a testament to the world we live in our life via social media.
Yeah, we're kind of proposing 2 different kinds of energies this season. So on Sarah's floor, you have this kind of frenetic, high-paced energy. I would describe it very lovingly and warmingly as a kind of visual assault. And then when you go up to Kim Suja's floor, there's something that is very minimal, restrained, calming. It kind of slows you down. And so you kind of have these 2 desires. When you're in the endless clicking and swiping of our, daily feeds and daily life, you kind of yearn and long for something that's a bit more quieter, a bit more introspective and slow. And then sometimes when you spend too much time in a space that is where you're almost kind of on your own too much, you kind of then need to re-immerse yourself in a flood of information. And so we are kind of presenting these 2 kinds of speeds that really describe what it's like to be alive today.
And I love how they are so wildly different, but somehow connect, because they both have this idea of grids. We all kind of live in a grid to a certain extent when it comes to social media, but they are grids of different shades. Why bring the 2 together? Because the shows feel so different, but at the same time very connected.
Yeah, they're very, well, that's what we like to do. We like to surprise people here. And I think when we first described that we were bringing these 2 artists together, people were, why, there's not a real connection. But ultimately, I think both of them are asking us, what do we do with all of this information? And what do we do with material culture? I mean, both shows are, even though Sarah's work is very indebted to the history of photography and images, it's very tactile. I mean, what you see before you, it appears like wallpaper, but actually these are, as you said, a grid, but they are 8 by 11 sheets that have been hand affixed together and onto the wall. So it's almost like being wrapped by a quilt as well. And yeah, and with Kim Suja's as well, thinking a lot about what do we do with, when you look at her bundles, when you look at the screens, what do we do with all of this material, and how do we go deeper into material as well? When you look at the meta paintings, they appear like they're empty canvases, but actually they were made of linen that she harvested the flax to make and spin that linen herself. So it's all about process. Yeah.
It's so, honestly, you have to come down and see it. The MoCA is one of my favorite places to go. It's on here until August 16th, so you have lots of time, but you should come down now. But it's so beautiful. Maybe spend a little time outside, and Lindsay has all you need to know about what's going on outside. Lindsay.
Well, thank you, Jess. And you may find yourself wanting to move inside to an air-conditioned facility today, because it is another hot one. In fact, this could end up being our hottest day of the week, certainly a more humid day. It's going to feel like 34 at the height of the afternoon. So, of course, we remind you of the things you can do to keep yourself safe and cool on a day like this. And, of course, you want to check on perhaps some elderly neighbors. Keep an eye on little ones who may be a little more susceptible to the heat on a day like this. We do have wet weather on the way. We've also got a risk of thunderstorms. Coming up, we'll give you an idea of how this is going to play out. I can say one thing, your Saturday is not going to be a washout. There will be dry periods, and Sunday looks great. We'll look at your weekend forecast is coming up after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Well, Canada's first World Cup match is just 1 week away, and it will be Toronto FC player Richie Laryea second time representing his country on the world stage.
CTV's chief anchor and senior editor Omar Sachedina on the TFC fan favorite, ready to seize the moment.
Of all the players on Team Canada, the World Cup will be extra special for Richie Laryea. representing his country in the same city as his home club, Toronto FC.
It's going to be electric. It's going to be it's going to be the biggest thing that's happened in Canada ever.
Born in Toronto to parents from Ghana, he was surrounded by soccer since he was born.
My dad's a Chelsea supporter, my brother's an Arsenal supporter, my mom's a Liverpool supporter. So Premier League mornings were always fun. We'd be glued to the TV from 7 a.m. till whatever it was, 1, 2 p.m. in the afternoons.
And I'm sure if you're cheering for different teams, it could get pretty passionate sometimes, pretty tricky.
It did. In our household growing up, there was definitely when Arsenal Chelsea played, it was my brother and my dad, it'd be tense in the household.
He's been pro for a decade. In 2016, selected in the first round of the MLS Super Draft by Orlando City. But he really broke through after returning home to Toronto FC. Defining the defense as an attacking wingback, bursting down the flank, scoring goals.
Richie Larea has scored!
And tracking back to make crucial tackles. After a brief stint in England, he's become a hometown hero and a key starter for Team Canada, helping the country qualify for the World Cup in Qatar, the Nations League, and Copa America.
As a key member, such a pivotal member of this golden generation of soccer players, do you feel pressure to leave a lasting mark or a lasting legacy? Do you think about that, or are you just playing the best soccer you can?
So I think, just doing the best that I can. I know the guys are doing the best that they can. It's eventually going to leave that lasting impression on the entire country, on our association as Canada Soccer.
For young kids who want to be you one day, what do you tell them? What's your advice to them?
Dream big. Growing up, playing here, it seemed like a long stretch to be able to get to Europe, play in MLS, play for your national team. All those things felt like such a far cry away. Don't let anyone crush their dreams, and just stay focused, stay in love with the game, and just keep pushing on.
Which is advice he's proven he follows himself and will take to the pitch with Team Canada for the World Cup. Omar Sachedina, CTV News, Toronto.
All right, if you're taking to the pitch today, bring lots of water. Try to stay cool. It's a hot one up there.
Oh, yes. I think maybe even freezies if someone's playing soccer.
Hey.
It's sizzling. I think a lot of people love it, especially have this on a Friday. But yeah, we quickly are having to remind ourselves, the sunscreen, all the things, we've kind of dived right into summer.
Yeah, all of a sudden the heat is here. And 1 week from today, as we've mentioned, that first Canada game at Toronto Stadium, it's a little premature to talk about the exact weather forecast for that day, but it does look like the heat is going to be sticking around into next week. So start planning accordingly, and keeping yourself hydrated is a good thing in the coming days. We do have a risk of thunderstorms, so we're going to talk about that as well to kick off your weekend. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Right now, though, it is a blue sky situation. We've got the heat. We've got dry weather for the rest of the afternoon and into the early part of the evening. And earlier in the week, we had low humidity. We had comfortable temperatures and sunshine. It was beautiful. But yesterday, we did manage to make it to 30 degrees. So here's a look at yesterday's peak temperatures. Hamilton, the big winner, but Toronto Pearson hitting 30, and we look to do that again today. The record to beat is 32.5 degrees. Not so sure we're going to get there. However, it is going to feel into the mid-30s once you take the humidity into consideration. It already feels like 30. We're at 28 degrees right now in the Windsor area. Little cooler in Kingston. Look at that, hanging out in the teens for now. Things are likely to change as the day goes on, of course. And we've got an air quality advisory that we want to tell you about in place for areas like Sarnia and over toward the Goderich area. This is because of elevated air pollution levels, and we're likely to see a bit more of that as summer progresses here too. But just be mindful if you're joining us from those areas. Limit your time outside, perhaps. Outdoor activity probably less encouraged in those communities under the air quality advisory. But there's a look at what you can expect this evening in Toronto. Again, remaining dry around the GTA until we get into the late evening and overnight. Then we see a few showers. There's the risk of a thunderstorm. Mild again for an overnight low at 17 degrees. degrees. The temperature is going to be slightly cooler tomorrow, but still humid. 27 degrees will feel more like 32. And we do see signs of showers. There's the risk of thunderstorms also, but it is not going to be a washout of a day. Here's our current satellite and radar. So we're starting to see some showers spill over into parts of Muskoka, the Haliburton Highland area. There's a look at what's coming for us later tonight. So a couple of lows drifting eastward, and with this, all the ingredients are there for some thunderstorm activity, maybe even some severe storms into tomorrow. As far as rainfall amounts, it looks like areas like Owen Sound and north of the GTA are likely to see more in the way of wet weather. We could start to see some showers in southern Ontario this evening. For us, it's more late evening and overnight. Risk of some overnight or nocturnal storms for us tonight and into early Saturday. But then look at how much of Saturday does in fact remain dry. Sunday is looking not only dry, but very sunny, warm once again. This is what your 7-day forecast looks like. So the weekend, not bad. Just be weather aware. Keep an eye on the sky and ear out for rumbles of thunder. Make sure you head indoors. And then there's next week. More sunshine for Monday and Tuesday. Chance of showers returning through the middle of the week. And yes, temperatures are going to be in the upper 20s or low 30s. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. You're watching CTV News at noon. More news after the break. Stay with us.
The Toronto Blue Jays will be looking for back-to-back wins when they begin a series with the Baltimore Orioles tonight.
And McAdoo hits one up the middle into left center. Guerrero getting the wave around third. He'll score without a throw.
The Jays taking the lead in the third inning in the series finale against the Atlanta Braves last night. They added 4 runs in the 9th to secure a 7-2 win, snapping that 4-game losing streak and avoiding a sweep at the hands of the Braves. The Jays are back at home to host the Orioles tonight with first pitch set for 7:07. Trey Savage will start for the Jays on the team's Pride Night.
Still to come, one of the federal Liberals' key affordability measures will take effect today for roughly 12 million Canadians. We'll have those details when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
One of the federal Liberals' key affordability measures will take effect today for roughly 12 million Canadians. It's called the Canada Groceries End Essentials Benefit, and it replaces the GST-HST credit. Amounts provided to families under the benefit will vary depending on the size of the household. A single adult with no children will receive up to the maximum annual amount of $679. Meanwhile, a married or common-law couple will receive up to $890. An eligible child under 19 years old will receive $234. The Canada Revenue Agency determines eligibility when people file their tax returns. The federal government says quarterly payments amounts will increase by 25% for 5 years, providing additional support to low-income Canadians.
Coming up, the downside of AI outsourcing. We'll have more on a troublesome translation for Montreal's transit service. Stay with us.
As we mentioned earlier, the World Cup is just a few days away, and for a closer look, we're joined now by Caroline Salemi, a former U17 player for Canada's women's team and football commentator. Thanks for joining us. So it's just a few days away, the World Cup. What do you think this means for players that represent their country to play at home?
Oh, well, thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And an opportunity like this means the world. You know, you're representing your country on the biggest stage in the world. There's nothing bigger than a World Cup. And now Canada has the opportunity to be a host nation. So at the last World Cup, that was their first World Cup in 36 years. And now back-to-back World Cups, they're a host nation. And hopefully we're looking at a very good group stage performance where Canada can make history and get out of that group stage.
Caroline, having played for Canada's women's team, U17, you have a special understanding of the game. You've been watching this team closely in the lead-up. How are you expecting Canada to do in this tournament?
You know, the World Cup is such an incredible tournament because anything can happen. You can't take any team for granted. So Canada has a group in which you're going to see Switzerland. They went undefeated in World Cup qualifiers. Bosnia and Herzegovina, they basically stopped Italy from getting into this World Cup. I was very impressed with how they played against Italy. So that is a team not to sleep on. And Qatar. So it's not an easy group by any stretch of means. No team in the World Cup is. But I'm hopeful that Canada is able to get out of this group and have a couple good games where they're able to get into that knockout stage. And I think that is definitely the expectation of this men's national team.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, the team looks pretty stacked, although there are some key players that have got some injuries that you know about. Are there any players that you're going to be particularly watching out for?
Yeah, you know, of course, everyone knows Alphonso Davies. He's the face of the Canadian men's national team. He won a Champions League with Bayern Munich. Unfortunately, he's dealing with a little bit of an injury here, but Canada still has a lot of players that we can look out for. I mean, for me personally, I played in the midfield. I love what Eustaquio does in the midfield. He keeps us in possession. He's always lifting his head up. Back in the Qatar World Cup, he even had a nutmeg on Kevin De Bruyne, one of the best midfielders of all time. So watch out for Eustaquio. And I also love Alistair Johnston in the back line. He's always looking to connect, you know, the middle line with the top line and keep us in possession as well. So there are many players on this Canadian men's national team, including Alphonso Davies, that can get the job done. It's just a matter when it comes to game time, you know, we got to lock in and get business done because, like I said, every single team in this group stage is a team that's going to want to compete and obviously get into that knockout stage.
Okay, if not us, who do you think might win the Cup? Look into your crystal ball at this stage. We'll get it on camera.
You know what? I'm putting my prediction in now. My greatest of all time is Cristiano Ronaldo, and I believe this is his last dance. Portugal's looking so strong. You got Bruno Fernandes, who just won Premier League Player of the Year. You have Vitinha and João Neves, who just won the Champions League with PSG, who, for me, in my opinion, are some of the best midfielders in the world. And Nuno Mendes in the back line, who also plays for PSG, who also won the Champions League. This is just a team from top to bottom that I think can do a lot of great things. And I think that this is their most informed team. And I think Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be lifting up that World Cup at the end of July.
Well, I see that jersey behind you there, Caroline Salemi, a soccer commentator. Look forward to your comment. Have fun.
Thank you guys so much.
Take care. Well, artificial intelligence can be helpful with everyday tasks, including translations, but it is not immune from mistakes.
In Montreal, the city's local transit system found out that lesson the hard way. CTV's Stéphane Giroux has the details.
Bishop Street in Montreal is believed to be named after 19th century Anglican Bishop Francis Fulford, except in Montreal's 747 bus line has been rechristened Bishop, as in a honey store, and it created a negative buzz at the STM.
So yes, you know, we're using AI probably in many places. Probably sometimes we need to have some supervisor in there. In that case, it didn't happen.
The STM says it will rectify the sign, but it couldn't explain why its map wasn't proofread in the first place. Examples of questionable translations abound in the city. Take the street Prince of Wales in NDG. A local contractor made a huge blunder by calling it Prince of Wales.
We don't see any whales or any sea around here. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't even think it's somebody's humor. It's somebody's illiteracy.
Now, the sign might be funny, but for a lot of people, it's also a sign that we're relying way too much on artificial intelligence.
This story is a perfect example of why AI cannot be trusted to fully take over from humans anytime soon. It makes mistakes, it hallucinates, it lies, it confabulates.
An embarrassment, too, for professional translators who are being replaced by AI.
We do check, we do verify the translation. So it's even more than proofreading because you have to check the terminology, the technical terminology. Is that the right words, the right syntax, the right grammar, everything?
Proof, she says, that humans still have the edge when it comes to common sense. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
Okay, that's funny. Weather-wise, we got some serious heat and the potential for unsettled conditions on Saturday, but there's a really nice Sunday.
Yeah, and you know what? A portion of Saturday looks good, too. So I wouldn't go canceling your plans right now. I would just maybe have a backup indoor option, as we like to say in the summer, especially when it comes to things like thunderstorms. It becomes a safety matter. So that's what I suggest for your Saturday. Here's one more look at our current temperatures right now. We are expecting these to go up as we progress through the afternoon. Still many hours of daytime heating to go, but it's already feeling like 30 around the GTA. And then tonight, our core temperature remains quite mild at 17 degrees for a low. We introduced the rounds of showers and thunderstorms, especially through the overnight hours. So around 3 a.m., might hear some rumbles of thunder, see some flashes of lightning. There's a risk of thunderstorms again tomorrow too, but for the most part, it's areas north of the GTA. Just recently, it was looking like a little band could go through the Hamilton area. We could end up having a dry Saturday afternoon here in the city of Toronto. But again, be weather aware, mindful of the fact that conditions could change. But expect some sun, expect it to stay hot. And then Sunday, yes, another great looking day, lots of sunshine, summertime heat and humidity, and it looks like temperatures are going to remain pretty consistently in the upper 20s or even low 30s as we make our way through next week. Nathan and Michelle.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. And that is it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a good day.